So what about people who are listening to this right now who might be in that situation where they started small and there's opportunity literally right next door that's about to open up and they're thinking about blowing out that wall? What are some of the lessons you learned the hard way going through that experience?
Well, there was plenty. I think probably the most singular important thing in this whole process, whether it's a 34 seat or 20 seat bistro or it's a 150 seat, high end restaurant in the bottom of or in the middle of downtown Boston, it is to stick to your vision, right, and not let people
Yes.
sway you.
Yes.
Not being influenced by or not making decisions based on outside influence is super critical.
Mm-hmm.
Super critical.
How do you stick to that vision? What things did you do to make sure that you didn't get off
It's
that
so
course?
hard, dude. It's so hard. I think that's like the hardest part is turning it off, right? Like just knowing that what you're doing is right and you have to just stay on the path and like stay true to what you want to do. It's probably the hardest thing.
I think the first thing you can do is write it down and share it and remind other people. I think just by the practice of like saying it out loud over and over and over again, it's manifest destiny. It's
and I
silly,
think
but
not being afraid to say no. Like no is a really good word.
yeah, I think it's why it's so important to write down your vision, where you are going, because then you're not saying no. Your vision's saying no. You committed to that picture of what the future looks like, right? Yeah. And when something comes to you that's not taking you in that direction, then making these decisions are easier.
Yeah, and that never leaves your life. I mean, I can tell you now. What are we talking about? 20 years later, or whatever it is. Like that concept of knowing when to say no has never been more important.
But this is so. I always say this on the show. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything. Because, like yesterday, I had somebody on the show that says, "Always say yes," and I think that the answer is both right. Yeah. But I think it depends on where you are in your journey. When you're on the come up, say yes to everything, you know, but when you are on a path and you know where you're going, you only have so many yeses to give out. Yeah. One thing you say yes to is something else you have to say no to.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah, so that was Farmstead in La Laiterie, and what an incredible ride that was. So that, fast forward that we were there for 10 years. It was awesome. We had an incredible community of friends and employees and customers, and just like it was a special, special place. I think to this day, if you go back and you kind of talk to people who frequented our establishments, they'll tell you that they miss it.
So you were there for 10 years. It sounds like 2 to 3 years to get to the point where you were doing food and beverage as a restaurant. Yep. You got, I think, 2 James Beard nominations, Best Chef Northeast in that time. Like
three
actually, during that time. Okay. 5 altogether.
I'm not counting.
5 altogether. I know you got one more for the book too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.